Yola and Barbara bring you the Property Hour. Provide market-leading expertise on real estate matters. The Property Hour is informative, inclusive, and up-to-date. Proudly powered by HK Properties.
Hello, welcome to the Property Hour of the week. As always, we bring you what is latest on the real estate and construction sector with your lovely hosts, Viola
and Barbara. So today we will have so much to share with you. It's about interior designing trends in 2022. What is it that is trending? And you know, interior design, many people confuse it with architecture.
a lot.
What's the difference? Viola, what do you understand by it?
I think I confused the two for a very, very, very long time until I happened to come in the housing space. That's when I could tell, okay, so an architect is not an interior designer. So an interior designer also is another professional that has to go to school for this and know exactly how to make spaces beautiful.
And it's good to understand that two differences between these people, they actually work hand in hand. So what does an architect do? So we have to understand that most people get confused that what stage of your project are you at? Do you have an empty plot of land, or you have a structure and then you want to pick on one of these professionals? When do you actually get to engage an architect, or when do you get to engage an interior designer? We can all appreciate that most times we get to the architects first, especially if you have just an open space plot of land and you want to put up a structure. So what does this architect get to do? So the architect will get to design the whole structure, will get to specify which materials, what to use to make sure that the building actually comes in. So what does an interior designer get to do?
But before we go into the interior designer, that means the architect basically helps an ordinary person who would love to own a home, for example, or would love to build a home for sale. They help them put this idea on paper. Is it what you're saying?
Yes, they help them get the ideas from their heads and design them into what kind of
into
house.
Reality.
Yes, they bring them into reality, because these same architects actually design and then also design how it will look after. You know, like they create these 3Ds on how they will actually look like.
So they create the spaces. So that means the interior designer that you just asked me who they are, in my view, I think an interior designer is going to come in to make this beautiful space created by an architect. And I will agree with you, just like you said that an interior designer works with an architect.
Yes,
because if they don't have the spaces, what are they going to design in the first place?
Yeah, and they can actually, architects can also spill over and be interior designers.
Oh, wow.
Especially if they have the passion for it. So what are we talking about when it comes to interior design? It's like once you have that spaces, you want human wants of, you want chairs, you want certain feel of spaces, you want these things to make it homely, to make it function
something
so
to stand
well.
out from the ordinary.
Yes, so like the interior designer brings in with that touch that actually gives those spaces life, you know? Like, you know, if it's a restaurant, it will feel like it.
Oh,
if
wow.
It's like a theater, if
that
it's something,
makes a lot of sense, Barbara. You know, like if you entered into, for example, maybe a kitchen, and you just can't feel it's a kitchen. You can't
Exactly.
even, or you entered into a certain space, you're wondering, is this a living room? Is this a bedroom? Like you just cannot tell. So an interior designer is coming in to help to basically identify the functions of the entire space. And created by an architect, yes, initially. Wow.
And you know, these interior designers helped in identifying furnitures. They go with themes, or you know, they deal with the use so much of a person, because every house, every building there has a story to tell, and usually the interior designer gets in sync with a person to know how do they feel, how do they want their space to come out, you know, is it in a way that, you know, you go home and you're like, wow, it's like real icing on the cake to make your dream house, wow, or your dream development come true.
That's true. Thank you, Barbara. And that is what we do right here on the Property Hour. We help you. We guide you home. We want to bring you all the professionals that will bring you up to date, that will give you the trending, spaces on the market space, just like we're doing tonight on our expert opinion. Do not go away. We're bringing you an expert for interior designing. Just do not go away, because we are going to bring you what is trending in the year 2022. And remember, we are proudly powered to you by HK Properties Uganda. This is a condominium housing company that is helping Ugandans to achieve their dreams of owning homes, and also helping us to reduce on the housing deficit that is happening in Uganda.
Lulu Residency in Munyonyo is the latest apartmentalized project by HK Properties. This state-of-the-art residency that has tipped the architecture scale in Uganda has 2 to 3 bedroomed apartments at modest rents. Scheduled payments can be arranged to fit your budget. For more information or booking, please call 0758 274 389. Viola and Barbara bring you the expert opinion on the Property Hour.
Hey viewers, it is now time for the expert opinion right here on the Property Hour. And like we told you, it's all about the interior designing trends. We are used to most of our conventional ways, but then nowadays there are very many things that you could not be aware of, and that's why we got here our expert today, none other than Faith. Faith, you're most welcome to the Property Hour.
Thank you, Viola. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I'm really glad to share what I know about interior design today.
All right, Faith, you're doing amazing things on the market. I mean, by the time we came to you, we're seeing all the things that you are doing. However, how is it? How is the new year? How is it going?
The new year is good. The trends are really changing. People are going back in time. The marble floors, the marble walls are back. Retro is back. So, things keep coming back, like the wall panels. Those are the designs of the 70s, but we are seeing them now in 2022. So just know that the old is back. So, and it's, back and better.
Wow, like we're going back to old school.
Yes.
It's now the trend instead.
Yes.
Okay, so Faith, before I go into detail about the trends that are on in this year especially, who is Faith before we go any other further?
Oh, my name is Faith Chichoncho. I'm an interior designer. I've been doing this for like the past 8 years. Yeah, so it's something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that, I love to do. I want to change spaces. I want to go to a space and, leave it different.
Wow, and who is an interior designer?
Now, you have to know the difference between an interior decorator and an interior designer, because you can decorate a space that has already been designed, or you can design from zero. That is planning, the layout of chairs, of the dining, of spaces, planning for spaces. So an interior designer is someone who brings, design and functionality of a space and brings them together to create something that is beautiful. If it's a kitchen, is it functional? It could be decorated beautifully, but it's not functional.
I could have the most expensive kettle in the kitchen,
yes,
but when the interior designing is terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. You have to know where the sink is supposed to be, where the cooker should be, should be placed. So like that's an interior designer's job, to give you something that is functional and yet very, very nice and beautiful.
Wow, I see a lot of beautiful spaces on the marketplace, but I would like to know what is trending, what is standing out right now, and what new things are on the market space.
So the new things, I see wall paneling, because this is really common. If you see it, most interior designers are doing it, using wall, wooden panels to decorate walls, designing those small, wooden. You can use wood, you can use cement and make like it's mason's work. So you can do pillars. People are coming back with pillars, especially for the big houses. Pillars give you that sense of support, of like the house is strong. There's that, that feeling of strength. So people are going in for, pillars in the house and decorating them with wood. It is something that is trending.
I think I agree with you, Faith, when it comes to it, because recently, we are used to seeing houses with gypsums and everything, but nowadays people are replacing that with wood, and it's coming out nicely.
Yes.
So that's very beautiful to know that at least the spaces are connect so much to interior designing. But however, I would like a viewer to understand one thing: how do these spaces how do the layouts, how the spaces of these layouts affect interior designing, especially to you, an interior designer who is doing the work, and then also to the final user who could be using this house?
Yeah, now the space layout is very important. It is something that is very important. If you're going with like an L-shaped chair, you have to see the layout of the whole house. Does it fit in your space, in your walls, your wall angles, how the sitting room is flowing to the kitchen, to the dining? So basically that's the layout. Now it affects design a lot. It affects the outlook of the whole building. Because like if they are not placed well, let's say you're going with, you have round walls, you have curved walls in your home. You can't, when you're doing furniture, you have to put that in mind that you're going to have curved furniture. So that you keep, you know, you keep your trend.
You know, these houses with corners everywhere.
Corners,
but then
yes.
you'll find squared
things. So it looks out of place. So if you're going round, you go round all out. If you're going like, you know, square, so if you're going with those shapes, so you have to keep the shapes flowing for the house. So to have a beautiful space, you have to really mind about the layout of the house, the public places, the private places in the house. You can't have private bathrooms in public places. So you have to know this side of the house is for the dining, the kitchen, who accesses it. If you have visitors, you're not going to have your visitors use your bedroom, bathroom. So layout is very, very important. So you have to, you know, those details, you know, say a lot about the house plan.
Wow, that means, Faith, if I could understand you very well, what you're trying to tell a viewer is that the initial layout of an architect affects you and affects the work of an interior designer and the final user. So that means if the architect messed up, it will be very hard for you as an interior designer to turn out. But then from your experience, I think you can still turn out every other spaces. And this takes me to that traditional or the conventional way of doing things. You just told me at the beginning that, hey, we are now old school. I would love a viewer to understand what is that difference. For example, if I'm still in my old school and I have this small hut somewhere, would you, an interior designer, turn it out into a beautiful space?
Yeah, definitely we can turn an old house into a beautiful place. We are going to break some windows, so you'll be ready for that. We are going to break some doors. We are going to create some walls where they were not. So you can turn a structure, which if you have a strong structure and the frame is good, you can literally turn it into something that is modern. You can increase the size of your windows. Originally, people were going with small windows. But now we are going all out on windows, open kitchen. So
to me, sometimes they appear as if they're doors.
Yes.
Yes, because they're really, really wide.
Really big. Yeah, because we want so much light in our house. We want, you know, if you have big windows, the space looks bigger. But if you have a very small window, the space looks, you know, congested, like it's, you know, if you have phobia for small spaces, you wouldn't sleep in a house that has, in a room that has a very small window. So it is, you know, we can always change an old house into a modern new house.
Wow, thank you, Faith. Dear viewer, I think you have heard from yourself, from the horse's mouth, the expert themselves, Faith, that any other space can be turned into a beautiful space. Even if it's still traditional in your eyes, to the interior designer, it could turn out to be beautiful in just a second. You need to look out for an interior designer. Do not stress yourself. You know, we are used to being the homeowners, we have turned into the interior designers. And I'm sorry, Faith, but you enter into like a woman's home and you just cannot believe it. You look, I'm sorry, you look at purple, yellow, green, you're like, what is this? So talking of trends, Faith, I'm seated here, but I'm looking at such kind of things. I'm wondering, is this a scarf? Is this, I don't understand what this is.
These are chair throws. Now this can be used when you're watching TV, it's a cold evening, it's something that you can cover yourself. Instead of carrying that blanket from your bedroom and have it in the living room, you can have this. During the day, you just fold it and put it at the arm of the chair. And you can also, you know, it can bring in, you know, decor. It acts as decor as well. So if you're using bright colors, you know, it brings, you know, life to your space.
Wow. So that means nowadays we should have this onto our, you know, chairs in the living room. We don't have to run away.
Yes.
You know, you could come out with anything from the bedroom.
Yes.
Not even on a blanket. Someone could even come out with a towel and they're running to the living room. Faith, it's a beautiful thing to hear all these nice things. However, what are those must-haves? What should a viewer at least look out for when it comes to interior designing, especially for their home?
Now, if you're looking to do interior design, definitely you want to make an impact and you want someone to come in and see your space and I'm like, wow, something has been changed. First of all, you have to know where to put your money. You have to know where to go all out, creating like an accent wall, you know, going out on a ceiling. You have to have something that someone is going to talk about. It's like fashion and clothes. You can put on boring clothes and put on a very nice necklace and someone will be like, she's stylish. So it's like homes. You can have a plain nice home, but look for something, just one thing. It could be the ceiling, it could be the colors that you're choosing, it could be, you know, something that will make a statement. It could be the lighting. So you have to have a selling point for your home of, if I enter your home, why should I buy it? Why should I
admire something?
Yeah,
or if it's for sale, at least a buyer should be attracted to a particular thing.
Yes.
Maybe it's the kitchen, you know, how it's looking and everything, the functionality and all that. So Faith, that takes me to the bit of cost, because all that you're talking about to me, all that is money, money, and I'm sure dear viewer who could want to do some interior designing is wondering, how do I go about this? Every other person in the market space, there is this stigma of it is expensive to hire an interior designer. How can you assure a viewer that it is actually cost effective to have interior designing?
Now, as in, like, you save a lot of money if you hire an interior designer. First of all, from buying things that you won't need, because an interior designer is going to give you good advice and say you can go with this or you can leave out this, or this is a chair that can work for you. Instead of doing like a whole big set of chairs, you can go with an L. A lot of wastage. You find someone is having a lot of things in the house and they don't know, the things don't, you know, they don't add value to the house, or they are just seated there idle.
And they end up disorganizing the entire space.
Another thing, right now there are so many DIY shops. You know, people who are doing
DIY, Faith?
Do it yourself.
Do it all.
Like, basically, you can do it yourself. We have that tendency. You have to hire a painter, you have to hire a plumber, there are small things that you can actually do yourself at home. On a Saturday morning, you can buy your paint and, you know, paint your house, paint your bedroom, something that you're looking forward. And the more you do it, if you love your space, you're going to find so many things that you can actually do yourself that are very easy and simple, that can make your house stand out. Because cleaning doesn't need an interior designer. Because one basic of interior design, you have to be clean. You have to be organized. Now, those ones, you don't need to hire an expert, but you can clear out your space. You know, you clean out, you organize, because those are the basics of interior design. Because you can put all the makeup you want, but if it's on a very dirty space, if it's on a dirty face, you know, the background has to be very clean. It has to be organized. Otherwise no one is going to even know that you...
And the background is the interior designing we're talking about from the expert. And I will agree with you on one thing, Faith, what you just submitted, because if you use a professional interior designer, absolutely you will save money. Because just like you talked about wastage, you know, you talked about just buying all those things that are not necessary, and you're spending a lot of money on them. But then this interior designer is going to prepare you ahead of time. You don't need this, you don't need this. So a dear viewer needs to understand that you need a professional interior designer for you to come up with a beautiful space, and moreover cost effective. It's not that, you know, people look at the professional fees they pay to the professionals, but they forget that they are going to spend more money than what they should have paid a professional to come and give them such a service. As we conclude our expert opinion tonight on the Property Hour, kindly I would like you to help our viewer tonight understand one thing. What is that inspiration that drives you to do interior designing, or what kind of tip would a viewer look out for in interior designing from you as Faith?
Okay, now the tip that I'm going to give you is, like, when you're decorating, when you're designing your house and decorating it, you have a base, and then you have the next layer, and then you have the decoration. So make sure the base, the background is plain, that you have a playground, like where to work from, what to decorate. So like if you're going with walls and curtains, always choose something that is plain and simple, so that when you're going to decorate, you're going to use pillows, because you can't have decorative pillows, a decorative sofa. So you have to choose where to put your, you know, where the light should be shined. So you can use like neutral colors for sofa sets, neutral colors for the walls. so that, you know, you do an art piece that brings out the beauty of the wall and the size, you know. So it is important. That is one tip I could give you of, like, choose where to, use color and know where to, just keep it basic.
Thank you so much, Faith. Thank you, and thank you once again. It was a beautiful time with you, especially with giving us what is trending on the market space. Dear viewer, till next time.
Lulu Residency in Munyonyo is the latest apartmentalized project by HK Properties. This state-of-the-art residency that has tipped the architecture scale in Uganda has 2 to 3 bedroomed apartments at modest rents. Scheduled payments can be arranged to fit your budget. For more information or booking, please call 0758 274 389. Property Trends. Residency in Munyonyo is the latest apartmentalized project by HK Properties. This state-of-the-art residency that has tipped the architecture scale in Uganda has 2 to 3 bedroomed apartments at modest rents. Scheduled payments can be arranged to fit your budget. For more information or booking, please call 0758 274 389.
Welcome back from the commercial break, and our expert opinion really nailed everything that you needed to know about interior designing. And of course, you don't forget that all the things are achievable. You know, we have to plan. Viola, what have you learned more about planning?
I think we just had a very beautiful and detailed discussion with the interior designer, which is very beautiful. However, I've just learned that you don't just achieve everything. You must plan. And to me, I think planning starts with the vision bearer. We could have all these professionals on the market, just like Faith told us. It's okay. They could be cost effective. They could give you all these beautiful spaces. But you, the vision bearer, you, the homeowner, you, the housing developer, if you don't have a plan in place on how things should unfold, then you're going to end up not achieving anything at the end of the day.
And you know how I understand planning? It's more of like saying, when you say you choose to go to the architect first, especially when you've started off, that bear the end in mind from the beginning. Get to know what you want, how do you want it to look like at the end, so that when you're planning and you're doing all these things, the spaces feel right, the kitchen feels right, the living rooms feels right, because you have planned from beginning. And in that way, you even get to know the cost of that planning even ahead, and you start preparing from what go. And it's very, very possible that you can achieve your dream, especially if you do the planning and the budgeting in time.
And that's very true, Barbara, because, for example, even looking at all these things, at least someone needs to know what comes first. Because, for example, what could come later could be done away with. You could forego, you're like, hey, I don't have money for this. Or perhaps I can be in this house for a year when I don't have this function in place. But I don't think you can be in a house, for example, when your kitchen is not functioning, Barbara.
True.
Because even the washroom. So at least that those things are necessities to a user. But then some things could be done away with. But at the end of the day, it's all about planning, like you're talking. Let's know what comes first. Let's know what is a necessity? Let's know what, even not only in terms of money, by the way, Barbara, or costs or anything, but I think also it is in terms of how things are done from the professional point of view, because you could not do something before you do something. For example, you can't bring an interior designer to put up your spaces of furniture and everything before you have painting in place.
Or before you have the structure in place.
You have the structure in place.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's about planning, it's knowing about what follows
What?
the other,
Yes.
and what comes first, and also in terms of cost and everything. So at the end of the day, what you're trying to tell you, dear viewer, is have a plan in place, then have these professionals in place, and at the end of the day, you'll be able to own a beautiful space, just like we have brought you tonight on the Property Hour and Interior Designer. Hope you picked something for yourself, and for more of such discussions, please do not hesitate to check out on all our socials, that is Property Hour UG, so that you could keep up with these episodes and more.
The Property Hour is informative, inclusive, and up to date. Proudly powered by HK Property.